The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Friday, May 2nd, 2025, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. Journal of Thursday, May 1st, 2025 is read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourn.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. Secretary will read.
Senator Hinchey moved to discharge from the Committee on Health Assembly Bill number 6952, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6665, third reading calendar 792.
So ordered. Messages from the Governor. Report of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state offices, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Amendments are offered to the following third reading calendar bills by Senator Holman Siegel, calendar 761, Senator Harkram, calendar 880, and Senator Martinez, calendar 712.
The amendments are received and the bills will retain their place in the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
I also wish to call up the following bills which were recalled from the Assembly and are now at the desk. Senate print numbers 4153 and 3236.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 320, Senate Print 4153 by Senator Sanders, enactment of the General Business Law. Calendar number 454, Senate Print 3236 by Senator Cooney, enactment of the Education Law.
Move to reconsider the vote by which these bills were passed.
Call the roll on reconsideration.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Orso, Cousins, White, ayes 58.
The bills are restored to their place in the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
I offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received.
Moving on to resolutions, let's take up previously adopted Resolution 260 by Senator Scarcella-Spanton. Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Scarcella-Spanton.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 260 by Senator Scarcella-Spanton, commending Jose Cristales upon the occasion of his designation as a recipient of a Liberty Medal, the highest honor bestowed upon an individual by the New York State Senate.
Senator Scarcella-Spanton on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, May 4th, marked International Firefighters Day, a day to honor, recognize, and celebrate firefighters for their service internationally, as well as to remember firefighters who lost their lives during service. Today, we are joined by 4 New Yorkers who have served our city, state, and nation: U.S. Marine Gunnery Sergeant Nelson Paz, U.S. Marshal David Visney, Firefighter Andy Wang, and Firefighter Jose Cristales, who I had the privilege of awarding the New York State Senate Liberty Medal last fall. The New York State Liberty Medal is the highest honor that can be bestowed by a senator and includes a resolution voted on by the entire New York State Senate. Criteria for receiving this medal include taking heroic, extraordinary action in service of others. That includes law enforcement and first responders acting outside of their job duties and going above and beyond the call of duty. And last year, Jose did just that. Jose of Brighton Beach is a member of the FDNY. On July 11th, while off duty, he heard a car accident outside of his home and ran out to help. A 19-year-old girl was pinned under an SUV, and due to his quick thinking, courage, and training, Jose saved her life. The level of foresight and heroism is not something you see every day, and underscores why our firefighters are called New York's bravest. Jose's actions not only impacted one life, but highlighted what it means to be a New Yorker and a firefighter. Jose had exemplified FDNY's values, training, teamwork, and heroism. And to all of our firefighters, I do come from a family of firefighters. My uncle, I think we discussed, he passed away from 9/11 related cancer. So it's near and dear to my heart, and it's especially important to have you here today. I cannot think of anyone more deserving of this honor than Jose, Nelson, David, and Andy. We welcome you to the state capitol. Wherever your service lies, thank you for answering the call to duty and going above and beyond to keep us safe. I'm very proud to bring this resolution to the floor. Thank you.
To our incredibly brave and heroic guests, I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. I extend to you all the privileges and courtesies of this House. Please rise and be recognized. The resolution was adopted on January 28th. Senator Janaris.
Next up is previously adopted Resolution 849 by Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick. Read its title and recognize Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick.
Secretary will read.
Resolution 849 by Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim July 2025 as Juvenile Arthritis Month in the state of New York.
Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I proudly rise today in support of the resolution declaring July 2025 as Juvenile Arthritis Awareness Month here in the state of New York. Everyone knows someone who has arthritis, yet we always think of it as those who are elderly that have this affliction. However, many people don't realize that arthritis does not discriminate by age. It does impact children, and today I want to share the story of one young, brave girl from my community who lives with that reality every day. I'd like to introduce Molly Talbot to Albany. Molly is a 15-year-old student at Frank Carey High School in Franklin Square. Molly suffered a broken ankle playing softball, and when she returned to the field, even with braces and tape, her pain continued. After limping across the stage for her elementary school graduation, her parents knew that something needed to be done. Her knees were swollen, and after an MRI, she was diagnosed with juvenile idiopathic arthritis, a chronic autoimmune disease that affects nearly 300,000 children across the United States. Molly didn't choose this journey, but she faces it with courage and strength beyond her years. Juvenile arthritis is often misunderstood and underdiagnosed. There is currently no cure, only treatments to manage symptoms and slow progression. And for Molly and so many others, that means a lifelong road filled with doctor's visits, medication, and uncertainty. It's an invisible disease. So many people say to her, "You don't look sick." But of course, she feels the pain and suffers with this disease every day. Rather than resigning herself to suffering in silence, Molly has turned this disorder into passion and advocacy, raising awareness of juvenile arthritis, as well as raising funds for the Arthritis Foundation through a car wash that she held at her dad's volunteer fire department. I also want to recognize her dear parents, John and Deborah Talbot, who have become tireless advocates, not just for their daughter, but for every family facing this disease and silent battle. Like so many other parents, they never expected their child's vocabulary at such a young age to include arthritis, but they've turned their challenge into purpose. So today, let's make Molly and others like her know we see you, we support you, and we will stand with you. I'm proud to bring this resolution to the floor. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this resolution, and I ask you, Mr. President, to welcome our guests to the Senate and extend to them all the courtesies and privileges of this House. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick. To our guest, Ms. Talbot, we salute you and applaud you for your perseverance in the face of adversity. I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you all of the privileges and courtesies of this House. Please rise and be recognized. The resolution was adopted on April 29th. Senator Janaris.
Mr. President, let's open today's resolutions for co-sponsorship, please.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. Senator Janaris.
Let's take up the calendar.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 110, Senate Print 557 by Senator Krueger, enact to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Giannaris Krueger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 111, Senate Print 616 by Senator Stavisky, enact to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Giannaris Krueger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 181, Senate Print 1664 by Senator Harkin, enact to amend the criminal procedure law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 180th day, shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Giannaris Krueger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 452, Senate Print 3071A by Senator Sanders, enact to amend the education law.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 724, Senate Print 1056 by Senator Serrano, an act to amend the Social Services Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 60th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill's passed.
Calendar number 729, Assembly number 6952 by Assemblymember Barrett, an act to amend the Alcoholic Beverage Control Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 729, vote in the negative, Senator Martinez. Ayes 58, nays 1.
The bill's passed.
Calendar number 732, Senate Print 2257 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend the Social Services Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Relation to calendar 732, vote in the negative are Senators Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Obereco, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Steck, Tedisco, Walzick, Weber, and White. Ayes 44, nays 15.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 753, Senate Print 2279 by Senator Webb, an act to amend the tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the first day of sales tax.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Webb to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to explain my vote on this bill. In this chamber, we often talk about the challenges that our students in K through 12 face with regards to having access to food. And we fund, and I'm very proud of that, expanding access to food in our K-12 schools. However, this continues to be a challenge beyond K through 12, and most certainly is exemplified in our college campuses across the state. And so what this legislation is rooted in is this simple but powerful truth that no college student in New York should ever have to choose between going to class or going hungry. This bill makes a small but meaningful change. It excludes food sold to students using approved donation programs such as donated meal points or designated food funds from being subjected to sales tax. It may seem technical, but the goal is clear: to remove a financial barrier that should never have existed in the first place. Mr. President, across our SUNY and CUNY campuses, too many students, bright, hardworking young people, are experiencing food insecurity. Many are skipping meals, relying on food pantries, or choosing between basic necessities in order to remain enrolled and succeed. Organizations like Swipe Out Hunger and campus-led meal share programs have stepped up to fill this gap. They collect and redistribute unused meal swipes or meal dollars to students that are in need. These solutions are student-led, campus-driven, and most certainly rooted in compassion. However, this legislation won't solve student hunger overnight, but it is part of a broader commitment, a commitment to treat food security on college campuses as a serious policy issue. This is also a commitment to make sure that higher education is more equitable, not just in tuition, but in the basic dignity of being able to learn without being hungry. I vote aye and encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Webb to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill's passed.
Calendar number 780, Senate Print 608 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Giannaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 59.
The bill's passed.
Calendar number 886, Senate Print 1911A by Senator Rivera, an act to amend the Public Health Law.
The bill will be laid aside for the day. Senator Giannaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Let's move on to the controversial calendar, please.
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 452, Senate Print 3071A by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the Education Law.
Senator Rhodes. Excuse me. Senator Rhodes, why do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would hope that Senator Sanders might be willing to answer a couple of questions.
Will the sponsor yield?
Absolutely.
The sponsor yields.
Senator Sanders, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to thank you for sponsoring this bill. Just could you briefly explain the purpose of the bill?
Yes, through you, Mr. President. Yes, first I want to take you back to a young man in my district, Cameron Brown, who was 7 years old, who had a horrible bus accident. Getting off his school bus, he was pinned and killed in a horrible school bus accident. So I think that we need to keep real things in mind. Real people and his family and families like his should always be remembered as we are remembering them now. We also should have a way of looking at not just that accident, but any type of accidents. How do we ensure that we don't have this tragedy ever again? One of the best ways is to bring everyone together, bring the best experts that we have, put them in a room, give them enough time, and find ways to make sure that young Cameron Brown, 7 years old, will never be repeated, hopefully. And that is the genesis of this bill, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And with your help, we're going to do it. You're going to help us make it better, I believe.
Senator, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Will the sponsor yield?
Absolutely.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. It's certainly a laudable goal. My understanding is that the bill requires the creation of a task force which will be charged to review existing state laws, regulations, and programs that address school bus safety and then make recommendations for improvements to those laws. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. President, absolutely.
Thank you,
We should bring
Senator.
the best people together that we can find, the best minds on this, and come to a resolution.
And will the sponsor continue to yield?
Will the sponsor yield?
Absolutely.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. Would the task force also address any existing state laws, regulations, or programs that impact school bus safety? In other words, using the terminology address, does that solely mean pieces of legislation already in existence that attempt to address the issue of school bus safety, or will they have the chance to broaden that scope to any issue that would impact school bus safety?
Through you, Mr. President, we should not restrict such a panel to anything of this nature. They should use their best discretion. If we're bringing the best experts that we have in the state together, we should not say you can only look at this and not look at that.
Senator, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Will the sponsor yield?
Absolutely.
The sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Sanders. As has been discussed several times on the floor, there are some issues with regard to the state's existing electric school bus mandate and potential safety issues that may exist with respect to electric buses. Would this task force be empowered to take a look and make recommendations with respect to the electric bus mandate as well?
Mr. President, this task force, which of course will include one Republican, should come up with their own ideas on what they should look at. We should not tell them, these experts, what we want them to look at to make the matters of our children's safety. They should be empowered to have the freedom to make the best decisions in the interest of the children.
Very much for that answer, Senator Sanders. Thank you for yielding to my questions. I'd like to go on the bill if I could.
Senator Rhodes on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I raise the issue of the state's school bus mandate because it is rapidly approaching. In fact, by June 1st of 2027, school districts and bus companies throughout the state will only be able to purchase electric school buses. And obviously that's designed to try and improve the overall environment, reduce our carbon footprint, which of course is a laudable goal. However, it presents numerous safety challenges which have been well documented. In Government Technology, their edition of March 1st of 2024, the director of the New York Association for Pupil Transportation stated that 20 out of 100, 20% of electric school buses are out of service on any given day. That presents a safety concern, obviously, because if an electric bus breaks down while they have students on that bus, we now have concerns not only about how to get pupils to and from where they have to go, but how to do so safely. And so I was very happy, Senator Sanders, that you indicated that the task force would have the flexibility to be able to take a look at that. In addition, we have school transportation news in which it stated that lithium-ion batteries, which is a general term for batteries classified by their cathode chemistry, have been linked to numerous fires because of their tendency to spontaneously combust if damaged or stored improperly, burn hotter than other fires, defy attempts to extinguish them with water due to stranded energy and damaged batteries, and reignite after a fire has been extinguished because stranded energy morphs into runaway energy. They normally consist of large packs of cells. Failure of one of those cells will very rapidly spread to the surrounding cells until all of the batteries in the pack are in thermal runaway. The batteries also emit explosive hydrogen gases prior to and during thermal runaway, which accelerates the fire very rapidly. My concern, as I've expressed on the floor before, is that if you have an electric school bus, you are literally putting students either underneath, because they may be stored in the ceiling, or above those giant electric battery cells that can spontaneously combust and spread rapidly. So I hope one of the things that the task force will look at are the dangers of those electric buses and how we can safely evacuate students in the limited amount of time that we would have. And I hope they would consider recommendations which would certainly delay, if not eliminate entirely, the electric bus mandate for safety concerns, separate and apart from our concerns about the cost of $20 billion estimated that it will be borne by our school districts and by bus companies throughout the state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Rhodes. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The Secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins White.
Senator Harkin to explain his vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to thank the sponsor for bringing this bill to the floor. Also, just want to address some comments that were made that, the constant fear-mongering that goes on in this chamber about clean energy and zero emissions transportation. The simple fact is that not only on a numerical basis, but on a per capita basis, there are far more carbon-based fires, petroleum, gasoline, and diesel fires, whether it's been personal vehicles or school buses, than electric vehicles. And we want to talk about the danger to students on buses. The danger to students on gasoline and diesel buses is they breathe 19 times more harmful pollutants than folks not on the buses. That is the danger. So having said that, off topic, I vote aye. Thank you.
Senator Harkin to explain his vote. Excuse me, Senator Harkin to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Sanders to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank my colleague for raising worthy issues that need to be discussed, and of course, Senator Harkin with his varied insights. I again want to draw our attention to young Cameron Brown, who perished in 2019, and we want to say to his family and to all other families that we as a body hear you and feel the grief that you still have, and we're trying our best to make a better world, to make it a safer, better world, and that's a collective sentiment by this entire group. In terms of the bill itself, I think that by empowering our best minds, the best minds that we can find on an issue, and not handcuffing them, but believing in science and believing that good people can come together and think of the best interests and the wisest interests, and I think that we can get to a higher place. So, Mr. President, I thank all of the speakers before me, and I vote yes on this issue.
Senator Sanders to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Rhodes to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I want to thank Senator Sanders for bringing forward this legislation. Of course, I will be voting aye. Just to briefly respond to my colleague, Senator Harkin's comments, he's quite correct. The reason that he's correct is because there are 9 times more diesel and gas-powered vehicles in existence than there are electric vehicles. Of course, there are going to be more diesel and gas fires as a result when you have a 90% advantage. The simple reality is that by percentage, the electric vehicles and the damage that can be caused by an electric vehicle fire is so much more intense, it can spread so much more rapidly, and therefore is so much more dangerous, particularly when we're putting our students on those buses. It has to be considered by this task force. And again, Mr. President, I proudly vote aye for this legislation.
Senator Rhodes to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
I 61.
The bills pass. Senator Janaris, that completes the reading of today's controversial calendar.
Going back to motions for a moment, on behalf of Senator Salazar on page 13, I offer the following amendments to calendar 383, Senate Print 2666, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Janaris.
Let me remind my majority colleagues that upon session adjourning, we will return for a continuation of a lengthy conference in room 332. With that, is there any further business at the desk?
Majority conference in room 332, a lengthy one, and there is no further business at the desk.
I move to adjourn until tomorrow, Tuesday, May 6th at 11 a.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, May 6th at 11 a.m. Go New York, go New York, go.